Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As you can see, I'm filling in for Fred today. But we have the amazing choir who's going to lead us into song. And come on in.
All right, come on in. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain that you've been through. Well, the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe your tears away. Well, the Father waits with open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. There is room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. So come on in. Woohoo!
Can we hear it again for Tiffany leading a choir? Yes. I just love seeing our choir members shine their lights, and it just brings joy to my heart. So thank you all for sharing your joy, and thanks to Juan Lorenz, and thanks to our guest musicians, Diego and Tony, if we can just hear it for them. So being part of this joyful spirit we're in is to have the experience to understand the different expressions of joy. And we have a lot of different expressions of joy to share, to connect. And with that in mind and heart, I want to give gratitude to Doug, to Kucha, and to Baba Tony for the amazing movie nights. Can we just hear it for them and all the joy that they're spreading? So if you haven't noticed, Lindsay and Dan are not here today, but they are. They're just around the neighborhood in the park, in Scoville Park, and they are promoting our community so that we can keep sharing the message beyond the walls that we call Unity of Oak Park. So we want to give gratitude to them for their work, for their contributions. And I also want to give gratitude to Danny, who has been kind of my right arm in everything and making things possible here in our church community. Thank you. Now, part of spreading our joy, we are having a Gala committee meeting later on today in the afternoon. If you're part of that, I welcome you to be part of it. It's an amazing opportunity to connect with other community members, to be on the same path that we're all leading our community with, and that is with love and action, and knowing that joy is our source. God is our source. Another joyful experience I want to share with you is that every second Sunday, we have Friendship Sunday here. And that's when you get to invite your friends to get a taste of Unity of Oak Park, get a taste of the joy that we express here every Sunday. And so part of that experience is that if you bring a guest, you and your guests will enter a raffle, and in that raffle, the name that gets picked out gets to spin the wheel. And then wherever it lands, that is your prize. Let's see what we want. So please bring someone next week. We are having a great event celebrating Pride, celebrating our LGBTQIA+, I hope I got all the letters, community. But we are celebrating love in action, so it doesn't really matter what color of the rainbow we are. We are celebrating with karaoke, so we're going to have karaoke after the service as part of our fellowship experience. So please come, bring a friend, and let's spin the wheel. So now with all that joy in mind, I want to recognize our online community. If we can just look towards the camera in the back and wave to our online community and say, good morning. Good morning. Now that we've recognized our divine presence here and everywhere, let's go into a joyful place in our heart where we can connect with that source of joy as we go in prayer. And I want to start our prayer today with an affirmation from Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity. So let's just take a couple of deep breaths to get into that prayerful place. Breathe in and breathe out. Take another deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And as we feel that calming spirit in our heart, we recognize that that too is joy. As Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, shares, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. And as we breathe in this affirmation, we recognize that we are calling forth our spirit today to be that expression of joy. whether it's joy as the power to understand, or is it joy to smile from ear to ear and sing like our choir did this morning, or play like our children are playing upstairs. And with this joyful spirit of knowing that joy comes in many forms, we bless our own expression of joy, being understanding, being that radiant energy that the world needs more of. We envision this vision so that we can create it through our week, through our day-to-day, and so that we can capture the essence and spirit of joy in every color of the rainbow and every feeling, thought, and intention that goes behind that power. And with that power, we say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to connect, to capture joy in many forms. With love and appreciation, we say thank you, and so it is. Amen. And before I lead into the opening prayer, I almost forgot a big celebration. So we've been launching the First Impressions campaign. And the campaign is meant to uplift with joy and let our outer community know that we are here with signage, with our first impression of like a new fresh coat of paint, which you can see the sanctuary has been painted. Now we're going to go into painting the fellowship hall. And so we were able to exceed our expectations to over $5,000. Yes. So I want to thank all the contributors who contributed and all the donors who made this possible, who are making our vision of Unity Oak Park larger than we can ever imagine. So thank you to all the donors who contributed to the First Impressions. Thank you. And now please join us for the Daily Word.
The daily word for this Sunday, June 5th, 2022, comes from the daily word of August 29th, 1987. And the daily word is happy. The prayer thought, God is the source of my happiness. If I find myself feeling that someone has disappointed me, I quickly remind myself of the truth I know. I need not depend on people or conditions for happiness. God is the source of my joy. My happiness radiates from within. I fill my mind with thoughts of joy that are pure and everlasting. I am able to express joy and gladness to others. I know that God's will for me is that I experience true happiness. Soul unfulfillment and all that is good. I am in no way limited by outer conditions when I turn to God, the source of my happiness. I allow the joy of God to be expressed through me and to draw to me the people and events that help to make my life whole and complete. Dear God, I thank you for the awareness of your joy residing within me. I look to you as the source of my happiness. I am happy and joy-filled. And taken from Scripture, John 15th chapter, 11th verse. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be made full. The daily word for today is happy.
I hear the crystal raindrop fall on the window down the hall, and it becomes a morning dew. And darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, I wanna be the one with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, just the two of us. The two of us, we can make it if we try, just the two of us, you and I. We look for love, no time for fears, waste no water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, not to those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, just the two of us, just the two of us, building them castles in the sky, just the two of us, two of us. I hear the crystals raindrop fall on the window down the hall, and it becomes a morning. Darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, I wanna be the one with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, just the two of us, just the two of us, building them castles way up high, just the two of us, you and I. Oh yeah, just the two of us. Thank you.
Wow. Is there anything that Juan Lorenz can't do? I like it. I want to celebrate Juan Lorenz a little extra special. He had his album release celebration last night here. And his amazing band, Dharma, is just an exceptional band because their album is all about uplifting the world, and it's the message that we too share here every Sunday. So thank you again, Juan Lorenz and Dharma. So world humanitarian Mother Teresa once said, "Joy is prayer. Joy is love. Joy is a net by which we capture love." Imagine that. What Mother Teresa is sharing in a nutshell, what she's sharing is that love and joy is expressed in many ways. And the way we capture it is by expressing that power through our own expression. And so joy comes in many forms. If we're in a joyful spirit, we are smiling from ear to ear. We are dancing, we are singing, we are playing. And then if we're experiencing a hardship or have gone through a hardship, well, that joy may show up differently, maybe a little bit more somber, like understanding, like peace. And whichever joy we choose to express, the world needs more of that. The world needs you. The world needs us to capture that understanding, that radiant smile from ear to ear, because our world has plenty to worry about, doesn't it? So what if we were to radiate more joy? Can we hear an amen for that? Amen. Absolutely. So here's a personal example. I went to a wedding last week, and that's the reason I wasn't here. Thank you to Ryan Priester, who filled in so graciously. Can we hear it for Ryan Priester? Hope you're listening. And so at this wedding, there was a handful of people that I knew, and there was a whole lot of other people I didn't know. There was a lot of strangers. Now, that setting is not the perfect setting for an introvert, right? I already felt a lot of discomfort just getting there, knowing that there was going to be a handful of people I knew and a whole lot of people I didn't know. And so I was feeling discomfort, but yet my thought and intention was joy. I wanted to be there to witness this amazing celebration of joy. And so I had this inner conflict, what I was feeling and my intention. And the reason I wanted to be there, especially for this wedding, is because my friend who was getting married not too long ago was in the closet. He was concealing his own identity. And so from going from concealing your identity to going to the place where you are exposing your identity, you are celebrating your identity, you are celebrating that joy, that's a big jump, right? That's saying to the world that fear doesn't matter. Limitations of our world, of our politics, saying that you can't marry because it's the same gender, is no longer in the way. And what I love about this example is that the wedding was taking place on a bridge. At the 59th Street Bridge, there's a venue inside the bridge where you can have celebrations. And so this was a great metaphor from going to fear and being that bridge to joy. Joy. Now, that's one thing I want to share, but there's another thing I want to share, is when I showed up at the wedding, I wore, and you're not going to guess, this outfit. This exact outfit. And if you look at it, it doesn't really look very wedding-like, right? It looks more like a funeral, right? I mean, I could have wore like a little white shirt underneath or a little bit of color, but I didn't. And I guess my inner child was still grieving. I was grieving the loss of my small companion of 15 years. And so my dog represented joy to me. And so I was grieving without me even knowing. And I was also grieving my dad, who had passed this year. And I didn't even know. But I wasn't smiling from ear to ear, but I had the intention, and I had the thoughts of joy. And the reason I'm sharing this is because we may be going through a hardship right now. We may have gone through a hardship, and we probably don't feel like smiling ear to ear. And the reason why this is important is because when we simply identify joy as a feeling, and just a feeling, we make it unattainable for ourselves if we're not feeling that way, right? And then when people around us are smiling, we feel like we have to smile just like them, right? So it makes us feel out of place. So joy is a feeling, but joy is also a thought, and joy is also an intention, and joy is power. we can celebrate it, we can express that in any shape or form. Eric Butterworth, classic Unity author, he shares that joy is a causative power. Joy is our causative power. Great definition, sounds great up here in our minds, but what does it mean in our heart so that we can put it into practice? The word causative is another word for creative. So when we create, we are the source. We are the power that creates that outcome. That is our creative, causative power. Now, unity has a third unity principle that shares that this causative power that we have, this creative power that we have, is with our thoughts and with our feelings. And so when we merge our thoughts and feelings together, we create experiences, we create images of our power. We have no control of what happens in our world, but we do have control of our own power. How do we react to the world? Are we understanding? Are we smiling from ear to ear? And so, in a nutshell, to bring this down even further down to an understanding where we can put it into practice, in a nutshell, if our thoughts and feelings is the causative and creative power, then what that means is when we expect good with our thoughts and feelings, we create our experiences. So the expectancy of good is essential. Just think about it. When you're feeling good, it's easy to be inspired. It's easy to be motivated. It's easy to get up and smile from ear to ear. But when you're having a gloomy day, it's not that easy. But what if we can shift that? And that's where we're going to get into. So this is what science has to say about the power of anticipating our good, the power of anticipating God within us. Science shares that we can't stop anticipating. We can't stop anticipating. Why? Because our brain is always on. If we were to stop anticipating, we would not be here. We would be dead. Meaning that we have to anticipate our next breath. So we're always anticipating. Our brain is always anticipating, whether we want it or not. We have to breathe, right? Yeah. Are we breathing right now? Let me take a nice deep breath. Hold on. Let's take a deep breath together. Yes, our brain is working right now. All right. So because our brain is always on, it desires dopamine. It desires dopamine. Now, dopamine is one of those words that we get in a third grade spelling test, right? Or a spelling competition. Have you ever been in a spelling competition? Yeah, some of you have. Well, when you're in a spelling competition and you don't know what the word like dopamine means, then you ask, can I get a definition for that? What do we ask?
Can I get a definition for that?
Well, since you insist, here is the definition. Dopamine is a chemical neurotransmitter. It is released from the front of the brain and acts as a stimulant that prevents pain, stimulates pleasure in the brain, and causes excitement. Dopamine stimulation happens when we experience and expect good things. Imagine having that extra dose of dopamine. Well, let's say we still don't understand what dopamine is. So let's go back to that spelling contest. So the next question would be, can I get that in a sentence? Together?
Can I get that in a sentence?
Well, since you insist, right? Anticipating positive events sustains the output of dopamine, which makes us experience joy physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Physically, because it feeds our brain, right? Emotionally, if we're anticipating good, we're feeling better, therefore we're thinking better. So we're emotionally better. Now, what about spiritually? Well, if you're thinking and feeling better, then you are connected to your divine spirit that unfolds the best vision for yourself in this moment. So are we a little bit more clear of the word dopamine? Yes? Can I hear yes?
Yes.
All right. So Adrian, can you show the next slide? So because we have that understanding, now we can spell it together. So we're going to spell it together. Dopamine. D-O-P-A-M-I-N-E. Dopamine, yes. Give yourselves a hand. You're all winners. You are all winners. So what did you win? You're asking, right? Definitely not a spin on that wheel, but you did win something. But you did win something. You won an extra dose of dopamine. Yes, because you expected something good. You experienced something good. So you just got an extra dose of dopamine. And that's why we come here, right? Yes, yes. So what if anticipating good can break through our limitations, everything that's blocking us from fulfilling our abundant life, from fulfilling a joyful life? What if we could do that? Imagine. Just imagine. There's a story that reflects that journey. And that is from a story from the Old Testament. It's one of my favorite stories, and you might have heard it in an earlier sermon, in an earlier lesson. But it's a lesson that is worth repeating, especially in our day and time, in today's world. And that lesson comes from the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, the Israelites were held bondage, they were oppressed, and so the role of the prophet was to inspire them to return back to the promised land. And we know that if we're having a gloomy day or we're going through a hard time, it's hard to go back to that happy state of mind. So the prophet had to tell them to reimagine not what you've been through, but reimagine what you've been anointed to fulfill. Reimagine the vision, the dream, the intentions that are in your heart. Reimagine that. And so this is what is said in the book of Isaiah, verse 35. And I want us to reimagine as we hear the words. The wilderness and the dry lands will be glad. The desert will rejoice and blossom like a wildflower. It will blossom abundantly and will also rejoice with joy and singing. Let's breathe that in. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What that verse is calling us to do is to redeem our joy, to redeem what always has been ours, that dream, that intention that you have in your heart from the day you were born, to redeem that and know its pure essence and know its pure images that are abundant in life. And so what the images of the wilderness, the desert represents, is our state of mind. When we're in that wilderness state of mind, we're confused. We're overwhelmed. When we're in that desert state of mind, we feel alone. We feel isolated, like no one's listening. We feel like no one understands us. So there's a standstill. And so what the scripture is saying is to redeem, to reimagine what is yours, what you've been anointed to fulfill the day that you were born. Go back to that original promise. Go back to that dream and reimagine it differently. And so when we reimagine, it gives us so much power, meaning that we're not in that desert. We're not in the wilderness worrying about things. Do you guys worry about things? Well, when we worry, the question that we have in our mind is, well, what if I don't have enough? What if she says no? What if I can't do that? What if I don't have enough resources, right? So those what ifs is the question of the worst case scenario. But the danger is that we answer the question. And what we answer the question with is, well, what if she says no? Then I am screwed. Well, what if I don't have enough resources? Then I am bleep, 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 right? So we've already had the question, and we also answered it. And when we answer it that way, we're saying that we are not enough. I am not enough. I am not possible. And so the power of reimagining allows us to shift our focus, to what has always been ours. And so when we shift our focus to joy, then our question is different. Well, what if I call my friend? Well, what if I send my resumes to 10 more companies? Well, what if I reach out to so-and-so? What if? And so that creates the intention of possibilities, of joy. And then the answer becomes, I am possible. I am possible. So we have the power to ask the question and to answer it. And when we ask the question with what is possible and we answer it with images that are possible, then there is no room. There is no room for the ego, which is important because we all have an ego, to be part of the experience, but not to drive where you're going, but to be in the back seat so that your spirit can drive where you're going. Go to the promised land. Go back to the intention, the goal that is in your heart. And so the power of visualization has been tested scientifically. There was a study of basketball teams. How many of you love basketball here? Do we have any basketball fans here? Great. So in basketball, there's teams. So they studied 3 different teams. They said, okay, we're going to take 3 teams. The first team, we're going to tell you not to practice at all. The second team, we're going to tell you to practice on the court every day. And then the third team was asked, imagine, visualize yourself practicing every day. And so what the studies came up with is that the team that physically practiced and the team that visually practiced, they equally performed the exact same way. And then they took the brain scans just to see if this was true. And what they saw through the brain scans is that the same part of the brain was activated in both of those 2 teams. So imagine if we were to visualize, and imagine if we were to put it into practice, how powerful we can really be. Maybe we can be that bridge that takes us from fear into joy, whether that joy is understanding, whether that joy is smiling from ear to ear. And so here is a lab coat moment. Like, remember I told you a couple lessons ago I should bring a lab coat for all these experiments we're having? So here's one of them, and you're all part of it. So don't run through the door, and don't turn off your screens. So let's put this practice right now. And if you're willing, close your eyes and extend both hands in front of you so that palms are up. that, just take a nice deep breath and just feel the weight of your hands in space. And as you feel both of your hands in space, imagine and visualize someone placing a Bible or a dictionary on your right hand. And feel the weight on all of your fingertips carrying that book. And as you feel the weight in your hand, you also feel it in your wrist a little bit. You feel the weight all the way to your forearm. Now imagine another book being placed on top of that, same size. It's getting a little bit heavier in that right hand. Feel the weight of all your fingertips to your wrist, to your forearm, and maybe now you're feeling a little bit underneath your arm. Now imagine 2 more books like that on top of that right hand. It probably feels even heavier. Feel the weight in your hand, your wrist, your forearm, your armpit, maybe a little bit in your shoulder. Now in your left hand, imagine a helium balloon being tied to your wrist. And just feel the lightness of how your left hand is being carried in space. Feel the lightness in your left hand. Now imagine 20 balloons, helium balloons, being attached to your wrist. So your hand feels even lighter. Feels very light, almost like it's in the air, disappearing. Now open your eyes and see the difference of both your hands. Now, for some of us, it was like this. So we can see that the power of visualization is powerful. So imagine applying this spiritual teaching, this scientific experience into our daily life, where we can be more joyful, more understanding, and giving us that extra boost of dopamine. So now, let's go back to that wedding I went to. So let me show what happened at that wedding as I put this visualization into practice. So I'm sitting down at this table with all strangers, right? I only had my partner there, but it was all strangers. Still felt that discomfort. So what brings me joy, what brought me joy was my little puppy. So I brought her to my mind, and I envisioned in my mind as I sat in that table, what would my puppy want me to do in this moment? And as I brought her vision to my mind, I knew that she would want me to be joyful, to be dancing, because I love to dance. And so the minute I finished that thought of dancing, the song that was being played was the song I danced with her. And so that was the only song I danced to that evening. But I felt the joy. I felt the connection. I wasn't smiling from ear to ear, but I felt peace in my heart, knowing that I was part of this celebration rather than just an observer. The reason I'm sharing that is because we all go through hardships, we all go through celebrations, and it's important for us to be kind to ourselves and know that we don't have to smile from ear to ear, but we do have that power to visualize our original blessing, our original plan. What is it that we want from this experience? So when we go home today, put this into practice. Is there a worry that you're having this moment? And if you are, allow that worry to be that catalyst that makes you switch to your question of what is not possible to what is possible. And so this year and these last couple years, we've been experiencing a pandemic. We've had a collective loss, and we've been discouraged. So I think right now it's a good reminder for us to be the cause of joy, the power that allows us to break through what's impossible and know that we are possible. And coming together here every Sunday is an expression of that. We are possible. Can we say that together? We are possible. Just feel that truth in your heart. It's true. It's scientifically proven. It is spiritually led. And it's emotionally felt. So we know this vibration is truth. So when we're in that lower vibration, shifting your question shifts your focus. If you shift your focus, what you focus on grows. So let's grow joy. Let's grow joy today. And with that, as an affirmation, we say thank you. And so it is. So as we start to embody the message that we heard, let's come to a place where we can feel it, be it, and experience it through meditation. So let's take a couple of deep breaths to transition. Take a nice deep breath, breathe in, and breathe out. One more full breath. Let this be with joy. As we capture joy in our heart, whichever shape or form that is today, we allow that energy to radiate through our entire being. As we allow that energy to radiate through our entire being, it radiates to our world. We become that cause, that creative energy that creates joy in our world. And with that truth in mind, we go into that inner space where we can simply be. Take another deep breath. So as we hear the melody in the background, allow the melody to take you to the silence. As we start to bring our awareness back, we allow ourselves to experience that somber joy of being in the silence. We awaken that vibration by breathing life into that vibration. We allow that vibration to multiply in our mind with our thoughts and feelings and images of joy. As we bring our intention, our heart intention to our mind, we allow this intention to be realized with the question of what is possible. What is possible? And with the comfort of our own being, we answer that. I am possible. I am good enough. I am the cause of joy. And with that truth in mind, with those images of the question and answer, we know it is done. It is done. We allow ourselves to put this expression into our world because the world needs it. The world needs you. We need each other. And with this motivation and inspiration, we bring it into action. We bring it into action by affirming, it is done. It is done. It is done. And so it is. Amen.
Wow. Whatever week you might have had, we are joy-filled today. We truly are. I want to thank Rev Ev for this congregation and for that congregation that's on YouTube for a wonderful message. And I do want to thank you personally because it touched me. And these wonderful people that are up here, this choir, these musicians, Adrian, who makes it all possible for us to hear it so beautifully. We are so blessed and we are so joy-filled for all of you. Thank you so much for that today. This has been a joy-filled time, and whatever week you might have had, you put it aside because now you're blessed. Now you're filled. And so we are grateful for that.
We are grateful to everyone, whether they're here in person or on YouTube, who make this all possible, either by their gifts of prayer, their gifts of service, or their financial gifts. We make that simple to do. For those of us who are here in person, we have the columns that are located by the double doors. For those who would prefer to mail a check to Unity of Oak Park, that can also happen. And anyone who likes to do that electronically can do that by using the donate button that is on our website. I can assure you that every gift, however given, will be blessed and will be used to continue this wonderful ministry. And as I invite our chaplains to join me up front, please, we realize how grateful we are, how grateful we have been, and how wonderful this day is. So let us now recite our offertory prayer together. Divine love, expressing as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is. You see these wonderful people as well? I join them. We are your prayer chaplains. We are here for you. If you have need of prayer, if you would like to rejoice about something, if something is on your heart, please see us after the service. We would be happy to do that. We'll be visiting with you, but please avail of our services. Also, anyone who would like to have an additional time of prayer and meditation and learning and sharing can join us on Monday evenings via Zoom at 7:30 p.m. for the prayer and meditation group. That will be facilitated by Marianne Provenza. Please join us, and thank you and have a wonderful day.
Feel free to dance to the song. Feel free to sing to the song. Whatever calls for you to do, go for it. Some dopamine. Thank you, Tony. Pienso que un sueño parecido no volverá más. Y me pintaba las manos y la cara de azul. Y me improviso, el viento rápido me llevó. Y me hizo a volar en el cielo infinito. Volaré, oh, cantaré, oh, oh, de blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Y volando, volando feliz, yo me encuentro más alto que el sol, mientras que el mundo se aleja despacio de mí. Una música dulce solo toca para mí. Volaré, oh, cantaré, oh, oh, de blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Pienso que un sueño parecido no volverá más. Y me pintaba la cara y la mano de azul. Y me improviso, el viento rápido me llevó. Y me hizo volar en el cielo infinito. Volaré, oh, cantaré, oh, oh, el blu, dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Vola you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you guys so much. I have to say, one of my favorite things to do is have a dance party, and usually it's just me and my dog, so glad to do it with you guys. Good morning, my name is Danny. I'm going to read off my phone today, I apologize, but a great way to know what is going on here today at Unity is to be engaged by grabbing your phone and scanning the QR code in front of you. You can know what events are going on, and you can also know how you can volunteer with us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube to know what's happening, or check out our website at unityoakpark.org. You can also check the slides before and after service to see what's going on. But a couple of the things to check out is, remember what Rev Ev said in the beginning, there was the Day of the Village at Scoville Park from 11 to 4. We also have our Gala Planning Committee kickoff today at 4:30. It is a venue change. It's going to be here at the church in the chapel. And then also we have the Untethered Soul Study Group that's meeting on Thursdays with me. We have the Happy Pride Weekend Karaoke and Potluck next weekend for Friendship Sunday. And then we have our fresh First Impressions campaign. So a lot going on, so check it all out. We'd also like to bless our youth and our youth director, Chris, as well as Baba Tony, who's subbing today. Please join us for the prayer of protection, followed by this peace song as we conclude the service. The light of God surrounds us. The power of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it be